This video will not include any Avengers Endgame spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you're good to watch the video. But you might want to be careful in the comments section because there are some bad people in this world. Greetings, Spooky fans! Michael here, and oh my gosh, I need to shave. Avengers Endgame, possibly the most highly anticipated movie of all time, has just released. At the time of filming this video, I have not seen it, but at the time of you seeing this video, I have seen it. Since superheroes are probably my favorite fictional thing just behind Pokémon, and this is the biggest superhero movie ever, I wanted to make a video combining and celebrating those two things. So today, I will be giving Pokémon versions to every single one of the Avengers from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And all the other superheroes that, while they may have never been a technical part of the Avengers organization, are still very prevalent hero characters. So basically any superhero that fought against Thanos in Infinity War, plus Ant-Man, the Wasp, Hawkeye, and Captain Marvel. Also, I'm just doing good guys, not any villains, because I don't want this video to be a million years long. So without further ado, let's progress along with the characters in order of film introduction. So of course the first is Iron Man. Most Pokemon versions of Iron Man that I have seen have been Scizor, which makes a lot of sense. It's a metal, red, flying humanoid creature. Works really well. However, for this video, I wanted the Pokemon counterparts to be based primarily on the superhero's powers and abilities, and possibly their personality and origin as well. Therefore, I won't be putting as much emphasis on the superhero's name or their color scheme. Therefore, my idea for a Pokemon version of Iron Man is Golurk. Now, I understand that Golurk is not a steel type, so that loses it some points, but it's got a lot of other things going for it. First off, Golurk is the automaton Pokemon, which basically means that it's a robot. Iron Man is not a robot, but he clearly has a lot of similarities to one. Golurk also flies using rocket blasters, not wings, which is how Iron Man flies, and it also stores a lot of internal energy inside of it, much like Iron Man's arc reactor. And like I said, Golurk is not made of metal, but it can learn a lot of steel-type moves, including Heavy Slam, Iron Defense, Gyro Ball, and Flash Cannon. Also, it can have the ability Iron Fist, which is another Marvel superhero, but we're not talking about him. But hey, part of Golurk's body can be as hard as iron, so good enough. Next up is Hulk, since the Incredible Hulk was the following film. And for Hulk's Pokemon counterpart, I selected Primeape. Now, of course, Shiny Machamp looks a lot more like Hulk than Primeape does. But as I mentioned before, I'm not really taking color scheme into account since clearly I'm just changing the Pokemon's colors myself. Primeape is here due to its extreme rage. Basically, every mention of this Pokemon talks about how it's always pissed. It also has the ability Anger Point, which obviously works very well. Primeape is also a fighting type Pokemon, which fits Hulk's up-in-your-face punch-you style, and it also says that its brain's blood vessels are sturdier than those of other Pokemon, which I suppose is true for the very intelligent Bruce Banner as well. Next up is War Machine, who first appeared actually in his suit in Iron Man 2, and for him, I'm giving him Genesect. Genesect would work well for both Iron Man and War Machine. All of them are biological creatures outfitted with metal armor that increases their strength and allows them to fly using rocket powers. However, I am giving Genesect to War Machine specifically because it has a giant gun on its back. That's totally logical, right? Another Avenger that debuted in Iron Man 2 was Black Widow, and her Pokemon counterpart is Liepard. Now you may think it's strange that I didn't give Black Widow a spider-like Pokemon, but the reason for that is that she's not Spider-Man. Her abilities have nothing to do with spiders. Her true abilities are a mastery of martial arts and spy tactics, along with, prior to being on the Avengers, an ability to be exceptionally cruel since she was a master assassin. Liepard fits really well with this. Its primary attack style is that of stealth, just like Black Widow, and it also has the ability Limber, which Black Widow certainly is. After that was the movie debut of Thor, whose Pokemon counterpart is Thundurus. I will admit there's a lot of different Pokemon that would work really well with Thor, but I think Thundurus is the best fit. Obviously, its electrical abilities and flying capabilities work really well with Thor, but there's a lot of other things they have in common. Thor is known as the god of thunder and was part of the inspiration for Norse mythology. Thundurus is a legendary Pokemon, so their similar legendary status works well together. And while Thundurus may have never wielded a hammer, it can learn Hammer Arm, which is the next best thing. Also, they of course both have fabulous head and facial hair. Well, pre-Ragnarok Thor did. Hawkeye also debuted in the first Thor movie, despite not seeing any combat in said movie. His Pokemon counterpart is pretty easy. It's Decidueye. They're both really good archers. This is probably one of the most straightforward ones of all of them. Next was Captain America, and from what I've seen, most people tend to give him Braviary as a Pokemon counterpart due to the whole America theme. I, however, am giving him Chestnut. The primary reasoning for this is his shield. Chestnut's arm forms into a shield shape when it uses its signature move Spiky Shield, which of course aligns well with Captain America's signature weapon. Wait, is a shield a weapon? Well, at the very least, it is when Captain America uses it. Additionally, Chestnut is a fighting type, which I believe Captain America would be if it was a Pokemon, and Chestnut also shields its allies from danger using its own body, which we have literally seen Captain America do. There weren't actually any other major superhero character debuts until Captain America the Winter Soldier, in which there were two. The first of which was the film's namesake, The Winter Soldier. Yes, I know he was in the first Captain America movie, but he was just Bucky then. He didn't have any powers, wasn't called the Winter Soldier, so that doesn't count. His Pokemon equivalent is Mega Lucario, and I specify Mega Lucario for a very specific reason. Regular Lucario works based purely on physiology, since it's a fighting type, obviously, but it's also a steel type, a good reference to the Winter Soldier's robotic arm. Mega Lucario is my pick, however, since most of Mega Lucario's Pokedex entries discuss how it's a heartless combatant that shows no mercy, which definitely describes Winter Soldier when he was brainwashed by Hydra. The other debut from Captain America 2 was Falcon, and his Pokemon counterpart is Skarmory. This one's kind of like Hawkeye, meaning that it's very straightforward and simple. Both Falcon and Skarmory fly using metal wings. The next film was Guardians of the Galaxy, which obviously included quite a few character debuts. However, since I don't want the video to get too long and most of the Guardians of the Galaxy are just regular people with differing skin tones, I will only be going over the two most interesting members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, those being Groot and Rocket Raccoon. Groot is Tangrowth, since they're both bipedal plant creatures who primarily fight by wielding vines. Rocket Raccoon is Zigzagoon, since Zigzagoon is the closest Pokemon to a raccoon that we have. Zigzagoon is technically a tanuki or a raccoon dog. I wasn't sure if you guys were aware of that, I only learned that recently, but yeah, it's not a raccoon, despite being the tiny raccoon Pokemon. After that was Avengers Age of Ultron, which had two major hero debuts. Well, technically three, but no one cares about Quicksilver. He just showed up and then died immediately. One of them was Scarlet Witch, whose Pokemon equivalent is Mewtwo. They have basically identical abilities: telekinesis, mind control, force fields, levitation, etc. Additionally, while Scarlet Witch wasn't created in a lab like Mewtwo, both of them got their powers from laboratory experimentation. The second debut was Vision, whose Pokemon counterpart is Deoxys. They both have similar abilities, like flight, high intelligence, laser blasts from the crystals on their bodies, and shapeshifting. Additionally, they both were created in sort of similar ways. They both started as an object in space that came to Earth, that being the Mind Stone or the space virus, which then was given life due to human experimentation on it. The next movie, and of course debut, was Ant-Man, and his Pokemon counterpart is Durant. This one's not very hard. It's Ant-Man, he works with ants, and Durant is an ant. For the record, I did try to find a Pokemon that could learn Minimize to better fit with Ant-Man's shrinking stuff, but none of the Pokemon that can learn Minimize have anything to do with bugs, so I decided to go for the ant angle. That's hard to say. The next major debut was Black Panther in the movie Captain America Civil War, and his Pokemon counterpart is Zeraora. This was actually pretty tough for me to pick, since while there are a lot of cat Pokemon out there, most of them don't really fit the calm, polite temperament that T'Challa has. For example, Pyroar is lazy, Persian can be rude, Umbreon can be cruel, and Luxray just has X-ray vision, which I don't think Black Panther has that. As for Zeraora, while we don't really know its temperament, we don't know for sure that it has a bad one. Zeraora also works well with Black Panther for several other reasons. It's of course somewhat feline, but it also heavily utilizes its claws in combat. Additionally, it's fast and moves very acrobatically. Another thing that stuck out to me about Zeraora is that it doesn't have an electricity generating organ, and instead absorbs and stores it from external sources. Black Panther's suit does the exact same thing, but with kinetic energy instead of electricity. Spider-Man also debuted in Civil War, and his Pokemon counterpart is Ariados. Of all the spider Pokemon, Ariados is the most true to Spider-Man's abilities. There are tons of Pokedex entries discussing its web creation and wall crawling. Like several others from this list, this was a pretty straightforward one. After that was Doctor Strange, whose Pokemon counterpart is Alakazam. First off, both are incredibly intelligent. Alakazam probably has Doctor Strange beat, but still. They also both possess powers that are basically magic. Alakazam is more psychic-y, but both can levitate themselves, teleport to new locations, and create objects using their psychic powers. Also, Doctor Strange saw a bunch of future possibilities for the fight with Thanos. Mega Alakazam can see the future. And of course, they both have glorious facial hair. Several films passed before the next debut, that being the Wasp, and her Pokemon counterpart is Beedrill. Like was the case for Ant-Man, there aren't any Pokemon that can learn Minimize that are also bugs. So I decided to go with the Pokemon that best represents her namesake. And the final hero on this list is Captain Marvel, whose Pokemon counterpart is Ultra Necrozma. They are both incredibly powerful creatures that emit a crazy amount of cosmic light energy. Captain Marvel's blaster attacks are photon blasts, and photons are light particles. Captain Marvel can also heat things up, and Ultra Necrozma is constantly giving off extreme heat. Additionally, they're both pretty much from outer space. Captain Marvel isn't from space, but she got her abilities from there. And to put the cherry on top, Ultra Necrozma's head looks just like Captain Marvel's star symbol. So there we have it. That was every Avenger as Pokemon. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of my counterpart decisions, and if you would do any of them differently. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend this video here. Alright, that's all I have for now. So until next time, Poké fans, gotta catch them all!